Okay, here we are with the human body systems. We're going to start looking at the human body systems. We're going to start with the skeletal system. Okay, structure and movement. Our first section is the skeletal system. And okay, so we have the skeletal system is our first system we're going to look at. So we're in section 1. We have our heading, the skeletal system. So you pause it and write Roman numeral 1, the skeletal system. Okay. Our first heading, our first blue heading, this will be a capital letter A, is living bones. Often in a horror movie, a mad scientist works frantically in his lab while a complete human skeleton hangs silently in the corner. When looking at a skeleton, you might think that bones are dead structures made of rock-like material. Although these bones are no longer living, the bones in your body are very much alive. Each is a living organ made of several different tissues. Like all other living tissues in your body, bone tissue is made of cells that take in nutrients and use energy. Bone cells have the same needs as other body cells. Okay, so this paragraph is our introductory paragraph. It talks about how bones are alive. We're not going to need to write anything down except for our heading, A, living bones. What are the functions of our skeletal system? We should know at least 3 of these, but there's actually 5 we're going to need to keep up with. All the bones in your body make up your skeletal system, as shown in figure 1. It is the framework of your body and has 5 major functions. Here are the 5 functions. So we can go ahead and set it up that number 1, functions of our skeletal system. This will be A. Okay? A is the skeleton gives shape and support to your body. So let's shorten that a little bit to say gives shape and support. We know that. Now, bones protect your internal organs. For example, the ribs surround the heart and lungs, and the skull encloses the brain. Okay, you need to tell me tomorrow what skeletal structure surrounds the spinal cord. You need to tell me that tomorrow. Okay, second function of the skeletal system is it protects our organs. 3, major muscles are attached to bone and help them move. So our third function is that muscles are attached. 4, blood cells are formed in the center of many bones in soft tissue called red marrow. So inside of our bones is the marrow makes blood cells. And our last function of the skeleton is that major quantities of calcium and phosphorus compounds are stored in the skeleton for later use. Calcium and phosphorus make bones hard. Okay, so E is that calcium and phosphorus are stored in our bones. Pause it, catch up. Okay, we have another blue heading. Remember, our blue headings are letters. So this would be B, bone structure. Several characteristics of bones are noticeable. The most obvious are the differences in their sizes and shapes. The shapes of bones are inherited. However, a bone's shape can change when the attached muscles are used. Looking at bone through a magnifying glass will show you that it isn't smooth. Bones have bumps, edges, round ends, rough spots, and many pits and holes. Muscles and ligaments attach to some of the bumps and pits in your body. Blood vessels and nerves enter and leave through the holes. Internal characteristics, how a bone looks from the inside, and external characteristics, how the same bone looks from the outside, are shown in figure 2. Now let's look at figure 2. So here's the outside of the bone. We have the periosteum, which we're going to read about in a minute, is the membrane that covers it. And then inside the bone we have compact bone, spongy bone, and then the marrow is down in the spongy bone. A living bone's surface is covered with a tough, tight-fitting membrane called the periosteum. Small blood vessels in the periosteum carry nutrients into the bone. Cells involved in the growth and repair of bone are also found in the periosteum. Under the periosteum are two different types of bone tissue, compact bone and spongy bone. Now, we have a definition that's in this section. So, we're going to have our capital letter B for bone structure. And we have some facts here. Our definition's in a minute. Okay? So, we have here that muscles and ligaments attach to bones. Now, we're going to take it one step further and say muscles don't attach to the bones, but tendons attach the muscle to the bone. So I'd like you to write what I wrote here. Ligaments and tendons attach to bones. Uh-oh. Let's see. Okay. Blood vessels and nerves go through the holes. Okay, because when you bang your bone, it hurts. And it hurts because of nerves. And you can get bone bruises. A bone bruise is when you break the blood vessels in a bone. And the last is our periosteum, which is the tough membrane. It carries nutrients into the bone. Okay, so the bone is very, very much alive. Now we have compact bone, which is directly under the periosteum. It's a hard, strong layer called compact bone. Compact bone gives bone strength. It has a framework containing deposits of calcium phosphate. These deposits make the bone hard. Bone cells and blood vessels also are found in this layer. This framework is living tissue, and even though it's hard, it keeps bone from being too rigid, brittle, or easily broken. Okay, so although it's very hard, it's also very tough. So we have number one, compact bone. Compact bone stores our calcium and phosphate, which helps make our bones hard. And living tissue protects the bone. Where did I take that? Okay, so the framework of the compact bone is living tissue and it protects the bone. Sorry about that. Okay. We're going to look at two other types of bone. We have spongy bone. Spongy bone is located towards the ends of long bones, such as those in your thigh. What do we call that muscle, that bone? You need to tell me tomorrow. And your upper arm. These two bones you need to tell me tomorrow in class. Spongy bone has many small open spaces that make bones lightweight. If your bones were completely solid, you'd have greater mass. Think how heavy it would be. In the centers of long bones are large openings called cavities. These cavities and spaces in spongy bone are filled with a substance called marrow. Some marrow is yellow and is composed of fat cells. Red marrow produces red blood cells at a rate of 2 million to 3 million per second. 2 million, 3 million, go, 2 million, 3 million, 3 million, 3 million. Bam. Okay, that's amazing. Spongy bone. All right, in the long bones, to help keep the bones lightweight, filled with marrow. The red marrow makes red blood cells at an amazing rate. Oh, nope. Sorry. All right, so cartilage. Cartilage. The ends of bones are covered with a smooth, slippery, thick layer of tissue called cartilage. Cartilage does not contain blood vessels or minerals. Nutrients are delivered to cartilage by nearby blood vessels. Cartilage is flexible and important in joints because it acts as a shock absorber. It also makes movement easier by reducing the friction that would be caused by bones rubbing together. Cartilage can be damaged because of disease, injury, or years of use. People with damaged cartilage experience pain when they move. Okay, so cartilage is very important for our comfort to protect the ends of bones. smooth, slippery layer at the ends of bones. Okay, cartilage also acts as a shock absorber in joints. Okay, it's rubbery, so if you are to bounce, the joints kind of gently bounce against each other. Okay, it can be damaged by disease, injury, or age. That's why running sometimes can be bad for you, because you jar your knees and your hips, and the cartilage kind of can't stand all the jarring. All right, bone formation. Although your bones have some hard features, they have not always been this way. Months before your birth, your skeleton was made of cartilage. Gradually, the cartilage broke down and was replaced by bone, as illustrated in Figure 3. Bone-forming cells called osteoblasts deposit the mineral calcium and phosphorus in bones, making the bone tissue hard. At birth, your skeleton was made up of more than 300 bones. As you developed, some bones fused or grew together, so that you now have only 206 bones. All right, so here is a fetus, and it's mostly cartilage, and this is why the babies have so many more bones, because this is cartilage, but these would be 3 separate bones considered in an infant. So eventually the cartilage calcifies and turns into hard bone. Healthy bone tissue is always being formed and reformed. Osteoblasts build up bone. Another type of bone cell called an osteoclast breaks down bone tissue in other areas of the bone. This is a normal process in a healthy person. When osteoclasts break bone down, they release the elements calcium and phosphorus into the bloodstream. This process maintains calcium and phosphorus in your blood at about the levels they need to be. These elements are necessary for the working of your body, including the movement of your muscles. All right, so this didn't have any red headings, but it had one big blue heading, bone formation. Babies are born with cartilage. Osteoblasts build bone, BBB. Osteoclasts crush, break down bone. Okay, now, that's it for now. This movie was 12 minutes and 50 seconds long. I will give you a dum-dum if you can tell me how many seconds this is, and then multiply that number by 2 million, and that's how many blood cells were created in the time you've listened to this film. All right, thanks.